If you won the lottery, what's the first thing you're buying? Story 1. The same crap I buy right now. Honestly, I think I'd hunker down, conceal the win, and get some advice before being too spenny. So, maybe technically, I'd buy a financial advisor's services first. It'd be nice to have an impromptu holiday, though. Story 2. I won on a scratcher at 12:10 a.m. New Year's Day 2020. I immediately ran upstairs and grabbed my wife, then screamed, "We can buy the house." So we did, and it has been a blessing. Story 3. A house for my mom with a private care team that consists of a chef who will cook for her and also teach her how to physical therapist, fitness coach, a therapist, someone to just hang out with, do errands with, and a small dog. Would also tune up her car too, or buy her a new one and keep her old one. Story 4. A dentist visit, then the blood tests I can't afford, then to pay for what the blood tests reveal. Story 5. The services of a personal assistant house manager. I don't want to schedule another appointment for myself ever again. A light bulb burn out? They take care of it before I even knew it was out. Menu planned and groceries purchased? Done. Car needs an oil change? It is done without a worry. Answer: I recently got a butler. I'm not even kidding. I live in a college town with HQOL and very little housing. My ChatGPT guy suggested it, and it is a game changer for an ADHD gal. Very cheap rent in a really nice house in exchange for someone who does landscaping, cleaning, helps with dogs, errands, groceries, organizing. I am saving money on this deal. Story 6. I have a pretty heavy TBR list, so probably some books. My first singular purchase would honestly be like a sweet treat or something to celebrate with ha-ha-ha-k. Story 7. Assuming we've taken care of the investments and paid off family debt, etc., I'm buying a couple of 100 acres of mixed farmland, cattle grazing, a fishing lake, hunting lands, and room for expansive housing plots for me and a few close family, and larger outlying plots for cabins that other friends and relatives can reserve vacation in. Build that compound outside a rural university town, and you have an endless pool of training labor interns to run your farm and cattle operation. Pay them well, of course. Also gives a chance to set up scholarships and a way to contribute good, healthy food to the EOO, local community center. Seems like an obvious first move. Story 8. Depending on which lottery and how much it is, I'll buy a few old hotels to renovate up to code so low-income families or homeless people can be provided shelter and a safe space. Story 9. Depends on how much, but assuming I win $1 billion Powerball, with my post-tax $250 million, $100 million is immediately invested into a diverse portfolio of stocks, bonds, high-yield savings accounts, gold, etc. This includes a dividend account I use for daily life. I'll buy a decent house in my hometown, $300K, $400K, and a fun car. Open a bar, I've had a vision for a while now, and open a music studio. Start a nonprofit buying commercial farmland to return to Mother Earth. I'll put down $50 million, hopefully getting enough donations to cover the taxes and purchasing new land. Most of the rest I save, but not before buying some gifts for my friend's family. So save $50 million emergency fund. Then, dedicate the rest of my life to creating music, running my bar, and running the nonprofit. Story 10. I'd pay off my house and my daughter's house, so no more mortgage. Anything else would go to an IRA or savings of some sort. Story 11. Services. A maid to clean the house, a gardener for the yard, a home chef, an accountant, a lawyer, etc. As for actual things, the house of my dreams. I've got a list somewhere of all the things I'd like in a house that will never ever happen. With an essentially unlimited budget, you better believe I'll have a movie theater, a multi-level library, a home gym, a VR gaming room, and more. And some soundproofing for once. Story 12. Not buying, per se, but hiring, as in a lawyer, and filing an injunction to keep my presence out of the news as much as possible. No life-ruining spending sprees. Will I get one or two nice things? Well, who wouldn't? But I have a future to settle first, not to mention seeing to the comfort of my parents and not telling other members of the family. I'd never be left alone again. Story 13. Definitely buying a time machine so I can go back and tell my past self to buy more lottery tickets. Talk about playing the odds. Story 14. Stock. I'm hiring a person to help make me a stock profile and maintain it, so I can keep making more money every time I hear someone win the lottery. They almost always wind up being broke because they don't know how to maintain that amount of money, so they overspend without worry and wind up spending too much of it. Story 15. Retiring my parents and then immigrating to a neutral country and building a fully self-sufficient farm. Story 16. Pay off debts, then put aside a couple million as an automatic bill payer and emergency fund. Retire and travel. Story 17. 1. Not telling anyone except the closest to me. 2. Investing. Half 3. Big OL stuffed rainbow monkey plushie. Story 18. A Popeyes 4-piece to celebrate. Real talk. Enough of the SP 500 and the NASDAQ to live off of the dividends and quit my job. Story 19. 1. I pay off my parents' house. 2. I pay off my parents' car. 3. I pay off my parents' debt. Then I pay things for myself. Story 20. This is a fun question. Yes, we know you'd buy a lawyer and financial guy. Thanks, Dad. The heart of the question goes to what you'd really wish for. I like my house. It's great. But I'd love to do all the upgrades we always wanted to go. Finish the basement with a kick-jerk bar and entertainment center. Build a huge fucking deck and patio. Oh, and of course, I need a second house somewhere warm. Story 21. All the healthcare, including dental and vision that I've been putting off, cause my insurance doesn't cover it. Story 22. A team of the best, most brutal lawyers in the country to serve on Republic land legislators some legal pain, misery, and discomfort like the kind of horrors they have inflicted on common people. Story 23. Nothing. I wouldn't change a single thing until everything was settled, taxes were taken care of, and the money was in my bank. Then we'd apply for passports. When they finally come in, my wife and daughter and son would go of the US, Wales maybe, Ireland maybe, and move all of the money with us and apply for citizenship. No one would know we had won until after we were gone. Story 24. A shoot-arounds for the bar is frequent. I would tell them I won a scratcher that paid $2,000. I ain't telling them I won a national jackpot. Story 25. Clear all debt, make donations, take care of family and friends, set up a nest egg for myself, and just start driving. Story 26. I'd get a lawyer, financial advisor, and a CPA. I'd invest most of it until I had a game plan. Main objective would be to buy a house, but a new car, used Toyota, or a vacation would be dope. Story 27. A lawyer, a financial planner, and a trust fund attorney. At least 3 people overseeing every decision. Story 28. A scuba shop in West Seattle. Dive instructor here, and one of the coolest spots to dive here is Alki, so why not have one there? Just gotta win the lottery first. Story 29. I just bought some lotto tickets and bought into the Powerball, and the cashier asked me the same question. I had no answer, and he said again, "What's the one stupid thing you'd buy?" Then proceeded to say what he would buy. I'm still not quite sure. Besides the obvious pay, debt, fix up house, pay it off, invest Roth, IRA, etc., etc. I don't know what I want. I've always taken care of others and don't get much for myself. Story 30. How much we talking? Millions? A flight out of here to anywhere. 100,000's new house, car, pay off debts, 100 savings, anything less pay off debt. Story 31. Real estate to rent, 2 study programs for my children, a house away from everyone for me and my family. Story 32. Freaking groceries. I'd like to go into Publix and have a reason to use a buggy again instead of those lil baskets. Also, and until it stops by itself, full tank of gas. Story 33. That sweet, sweet phone call I've been dreaming for years. Hi, boss. It's Dialis. I won't be returning to work, ever. Sorry about that. I'll take the entire company out to lunch today. My treat. Story 34. A sanctuary for animals for whom have, by no offense of their own or disaster, could be housed until the owner was healthy again or disaster areas cleared. Story 35. A trust org that funds toward children's hospitals that do cardiac surgery in honor of my baby nephew that died this month at a center. Story 36. Screw the lawyers and fiduciaries. I'm buying everything I need to set up my brewery operation in Guatemala. Story 37. Depending on how much I win, 100 million, I would buy a cat dozer and just park it on my lawn to piss of the HOA. Story 38. Lol, first. I'll run away from everyone I know and stay radio silent for about 3 months so the hype dies down. Story 39. After an attorney, accountant, etc. I think the first thing I'd buy is a 4-bedroom house so each kid can have their own room. Nothing big or glorious, just a decent 4-bedroom in the neighborhood. Story 40. A compound where I can live with my own home and my parents can be on the property with me. I live across the country from them and worry about them all of the time. I can't move and they can't move. But if I were rich, I'd move there in a heartbeat. Story 41. All my debt. The rest of it goes into funds and stocks that give dividends, which will be reinvested until I can quietly retire and live off of the dividends for the rest of my life. Story 42. Fucking disappearing for a few days. Me and my new financial advisor and lawyer will be having a very deep conversation, then tacos. Story 43. I buy my mom a nice big home because she's a woman who's been through heel and back and deserves it. And then I'd gamble it all. Story 44. A flat without a mortgage and then, with my salary and remaining prize, helping my parents to early retire and have a cool retirement. Story 45. A house far away from the city. I'd have some animals, a pool, a fishing-stocked pond, etc. No neighbors for miles. On the far corner of my property, I'd grow pumpkins and have a pumpkin patch and hayride during the fall season because I've always loved that sort of thing. Story 46. I will buy a house firstly, then a car, lot of shopping for me and my family. Then I will donate something to poor people. Story 47. My uncle property so he don't expel the 5 family member with off-grid cabin that date to 1960-70 we don't own land. My grandmother had 20 brother and sister, and they build about 15 cabin. Today's about 10 left. For now, we are lucky he keeping it, but we never know. Wish I could buy the field on one side of the pro-wordy that in jerk bow, and he cut down the forest illegally. Replant tree and be surrounded again 360 by forest. I can dream it probably worth 2 millimeters, but I don't even know if he would accept an offer. Story 48. Pay off every debt I have, pay my GFS debt, pay a few friends' debts, make sure I have a good place to live and invest the rest. Story 49. That depends very much on how much money we are talking. Lotteries vary widely. 1 million paying off bills and talking to a financial advisor about how best to invest the remainder for retirement. Maybe buy a new car, probably a certified pre-owned model. 100 million paying off bills, investing, buying a new car, a home, maybe a vacation home. The former means financial security and peace of mind for the future. The latter means quitting my job and living a life of leisure. Story 50. If I had $1 million, I'd do 2 chicks at the same time. Seriously? Darn straight. I always wanted to do that, man. And I think if I were a millionaire, I could hook that up too. 'Cause chicks dig dudes with money. Story 51. You have to flip your entire thinking. Don't think of spending, think of growing. Get you a legal and financial team if you can manage that amount of money and invest part of it in an ETF like VUO and some in a high-yield savings account. Then pay off all debt. That money has to last you, so don't go out buying everything you never had. Gotta be smart with the money you had. Can't spend it like MC Hammer. Story 52. I've seen too many of these genie wishes. I don't trust the question, so I'm going to assume that it's the low end of the lottery. I'm going to splurge and buy a medium cup of coffee instead of my usual small. Story 53. Food, clothes, and education for the orphans and the needy children in war-torn countries like Palestine, Iraq, Yemen, and Syria. Story 54. It sounds cheesy, but a trip to Disneyland. I never got to go to Disneyland as a kid. My parents were very young and kind of selfish. They liked to party and have poker tournaments and things of that nature. I would take my brother and sister as well. Don't get me wrong, they'd pay for things like sports when they had to. And I went to my local amusement park pretty much every summer, but we never ever went on vacation. I didn't get to go outside of my country until I was in my late teens, early 20s. Story 55. Food. Try skipping meals every fudge day to pay a bill or help family. You don't stay hungry. You just get mad. Story 56. Look, this is pretty dark, but it's just where my kind is at right now. I would use the money to ensure my family was insulated, protected, and had everything they needed for life. Education funds for the kids. Secure investments that grow the wealth to ensure they have a good start in life. I would do all of this to buy the right to commit tragic end without burdening my family more than I have to. Sorry, all. This is supposed to be a happy-go-lucky thread about dreams, and I'm just here being a sad sack. And who knows, maybe that financial security would buy me the time I need to get help. That would be nice. Answer. What the guacamole lady said. I have been there, and there is help. I have tried so many meds and just finally landed a good one. Keep pushing. Kids want you at their weddings. Kids want their kids to have a grandparent. I'm trying to get my dad to retire because I want to see him. More kids need their parents. You are loved, and you are special. Keep pedaling. Zok sok 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 socks. Story 57. A flight to someplace warm, tropical such as the South Pacific, as far away from civilization as possible, bayou an island, and build my dream house, or Chile and do the same. All to leave the USA that is quickly becoming an authoritarian, fascist nightmare. Story 58. I don't want to win any money. We are beyond happy with what we have. Our kids are fine. I would only donate it. Story 59. A house in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in the Grand Tetons, either that or Alaska, and far away from civilization and enjoying my life. Story 60. A one-way ticket to Disappearanceville to avoid all my new boyfriends, girlfriends, non-existent children, long-lost family members with their hands out, 500 husbands and wives suing me, preachers of every denomination swearing I'm a member. Did I miss anyone? Story 61. A modest house on a fat piece of land. I'm not into mansions. They make no sense to me unless you have 7 kids. Some farm animals. A beach condo. A boat. A car. Hook up my mom and sister with new cars and pay off their mortgages. Buy a couple of companies like a successful laundromat that already generates 6 figures a year. Invest in real estate and warehouses. Story 62. Depends on the lottery. 5 scratcher will get spent on a soda and some chips. 100 pick 6 or whatever goes to the wife's CC bill. 100,000 or so gets invested after I pay off and close the wife's CC. 1,000 or more. Invest half or more, give some of it to my kid, and seriously upgrade my living conditions. Maybe a newer car or something. Story 63. Depends on how much I win. We talking the super mega millions and I win it all, or we talking winning 20 on a 5 scratch off? If it's the first one, probably a house outright. If we're talking the second, then some Dunkin' Donuts. Story 64. A piece of land where I can build a house, where I can't see any neighbors' homes and no road noise. Story 65. I guess another free ticket, since that's usually what I win. Sometimes it's like $5 though, so I usually pocket that. Story 66. Some clothes. I've been keeping these pushing for longer than some of my kids have been alive, and my kids are grown. Story 67. Set up accounts for my parents and my brother. Have monthly dividends paid to them to take care of their monthly expenses. I'll definitely fudge off for a year traveling and being a reckless degenerate. Story 68. I'd pay off my house and buy 2 new cars and the fees for my daughter's daycare for the next 3 years. That's all I need. Can't I just get $300K and be able to breathe? Story 69. First thing I'm buying is plane tickets or travel arrangements for me and a couple close friends. Go on a crazy trip, once in a lifetime type of trip. Then I'm probably buying a new house, a new car, supplement my current clothing with new clothes, then get my retirement figured out, and then probably start donating to charities. Story 70. A new phone, SIM card, phone, email address, and post office box. Something tells me my existing contact details are going to be nuked. Story 71. A very, very small plot of land, preferably near fertile farmland. Employ a group of people to construct a very small, cozy home suitable for a single person plus 1 animal. Leave out the rest of my days, as very few as they are at the time that I'm typing this, to know peace for just one single moment in my life. Story 72. An iPad am able to afford one now, but don't really need one. And it's more for us to be able to video chat with our older relatives who mostly have iPhones and can't be bothered to download something like Google Meet. Story 73. Do you mean won the lottery as in the Powerball jackpot? Or do you mean won the lottery as in 100 on a scratch ticket? Because what I'd buy first would be different. Story 74. If it's FU lotto money, I'm buying my way into a nice friendly country. I mean seeking asylum. Please take me and my 750 million. Story 75. The Friends Apartments Lego set. I missed it when it came out, but if you're lucky, you can find it for only twice the price on eBay. Story 76. Huge chunk of property, build 2 houses, one for me, another for my niece. I want us to live close, but not together. Story 77. I guess technically it's paying the legal fees as I get things set up. The second thing is a plane ticket. Winning the lottery is going to bring so much attention. My state doesn't allow anonymous claims that I don't want. So the Lottery Commission can announce my name 5 minutes after I claim it, as M driving the airport. A man with 100 million in small-town Kentucky is a celebrity. A man with 100 million living at the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan. 6 months isn't even the richest man in the building. Story 78. Paying off my debts hopefully would get there before the debt chasers make it to my door. Next thing I'm buying is a financial advisor, a PT, and a therapist, all in one go. There's limited hierarchy on who gets paid, whose services bought first. Story 79. A new mattress. I'm currently sleeping on a 12-year-old futon mattress with a 7-year-old memory foam mattress topper. I have a decent bed frame, but yeah, I'd immediately go buy a new mattress. Story 80. I tell them at work that if I win the lottery, they'll get my 2-week notice, meaning in 2 weeks, they'll notice I ain't been around for a while. Story 81. Nothing. Get me paid. Get my tax bill paid. Drop what's left in an overseas account with a scheduled allowance deposit that assists my income. Squat on it for a few years while I take time to adapt to having money. Story 82. Paying off the house, the cars, my wife's remaining student loans. Bank 80% of the rest in safe investments, and then have a nice vacation. Story 83. Assuming a very large payoff. Pay off debts. Set up investments such that I can live off the interest. Groceries for people that can't quite make the ends meet. Drop a hundo on the cashier and keep on walking. Story 84. 10 million. Not much. That won't even cover retirement in 15 years the way things are going. 100 million. Moving out of the US at that point. To much dislike and toxicity, would love to move to one of the top 10 happiest counties on Earth, instead 500 million. Going to try to feed the world. 25,000 people, 10,000 are children, die each day BC. They can find something to eat. I want to get that food through as much red tape as I can and get it to them as seamlessly as possible. Story 85. There has always ever been one correct answer as enunciated by Isaac Carranza. Hookers and blow. Unfortunately, Mr. Carranza subsequently walked back his response, but I feel it is still the correct answer. Story 86. How much money are we talking about? Like few money or FU money? If it is the second one, I do two things. Create a doggy sanctuary and try to give back to the community by doing a food kitchen and shelter for the less fortunate people. But I'd need to figure out how to finance it. Story 87. Paying off all my debts and my father's. Then I am outfitting my property with a diesel generator, solar backup, build a big garden, future-proof everything, and sit back and relax. Set up some investments and hire a good financial advisor. Keep fishing and surfing my heart out. Story 88. A home in the States and a home in Australia. I was just thinking about it earlier. I just want to live where it's nice out all of the time. Also want to open my own animal shelter refuge, a place for animals in between homes to feel safe. Maybe make it almost like a cat cafe where people can chill and get food and hang out with the animals. Story 89. A pretty big, nice and safe car. One of the most dangerous things we do every day is drive. I want to stick around to enjoy my money instead of getting T-boned and dying in a Honda Civic 3 weeks after picking up my check. Story 90. I'd go get some good food probably, and a house for my sister and her kids. Go to Mig Flug so I can ride in a fighter jet. Story 91. The very first thing, a Rolex Daytona 6263 Big Red. After that, it would be a new house, but that'd take a little time. Story 92. Sell the shares in my toxic family business. So I'm not buying, just selling something I no longer need to depend on, so I get more money, but bought back freedom. Story 93. Good question. Probably still groceries. Lol, I actually don't know what impulse purchase I would make. I would actually probably be a stress case until I had a plan with the mommy and had it confirmed I actually had it. Story 94. There's one thing I've always wanted to do, and that is go to my local gas station and buy 500 one-scratchers. These things come in a roll of 500 and have guaranteed potential of double the worth. Every 500 roll has at least 1,000 payout, according to their own statistics. So anything above 500 is a win. Then I'd buy a place and invest the rest so that I don't have to worry about taxes or bills for that place living off $1,000 a month after all the monthly taxes and bills have been paid for. Story 95. Bigger house with a room built for sound. In it I will fit a pair of Focal Grande Utopia Evo EM speakers. Story 96. Groceries and a lot of them because I've been skimping out on food for a while being on a tight budget. Story 97. Pay off debts, then get an overlander, probably an older and super reliable Toyota, and just travel for a couple years. Find a stray dog to adopt. Story 98. Pay off my house. Do all the improvements I have wanted to do, Camelback, etc. Buy a brownstone in Park Slope. Buy a place in Lyon, invest, and live low-key off the interest. Story 99. A house in Houston TX driving lessons and an indoor-outdoor catio. I'm going to get cats so that I can help my parents. Story 100. A home and set my family up for the future. Then donate a bit towards building owns for our tent community in Edmonton, Alberta. Important to give back when you receive. Story 101. Buy the entire police force in my town so I can do all the crimes I want and they will cover for me. Also the judges just in case. Story 102. Create a family office. CPA, lawyers, financial advisors, and investment professionals. All of these have the sole goal of keeping you wealthy and minimizing your tax liability. Story 103. I'm boring. 1. Clear my debts. 2. Lawyer up, write a will. 3. Accountant, financial advisor, set up investments, put money aside for nieces and nephews in a trust. 4. Go see my 2 best friends, take them both for dinner, thanking them for having my back and tell them to get the good husband points up because I'm taking them on holiday. 5. New car to me. 6. Begin the new house hunt. Story 104. Tickets for my family and I to a country that is sane and has universal health care. There are plenty to pick. Story 105. The first thing I would do is donate money to a nonprofit that is important to me. Second thing I would do is purchase a 2-bedroom flat-level home for myself. I'm not physically disabled, but since I am getting older, I want to be prepared for the potential of having difficult walking. Story 106. A house, a Unimog, a kick-jerk PC, maybe a Bowler Wildcat, and one of those intense driving lesson courses. Story 107. Repay all debts. Repay family debts. Help my divorced best mate buy a house. A car I've wanted for a while. A holiday on my own for a week, somewhere quiet to plan and contemplate what to do next. In that order. Story 108. A large house that holds a full organ. My dream home also has tons of sound equipment and instruments and plenty of recording space. Story 109. A fudge expensive, fast as fudge twined hand car. Pretty much the only thing you can see, test, and walk away with there and then. Houses, brand new cars, coke and hookers all take too much time to arrange. Even first-class flights are going to take a while to materialize, so to speak. Story 100. 10. Plane tickets to Spain or Italy. No hotel, literally just plane tickets. I'd figure the rest out on the way. Story 111. A modest home so I can finally know what housing security feels like. Then a nice car and hire a chauffeur because I have fudge you money. Story 112. A house in SW, Greater Newport Blackwood, and an engagement ring for my partner, as well as a car for me. Volvo 940. Story 113. Once the money is secured and in my account, my real ID, then passport, then full mouth of teeth implants. Genetics kind of fudge me on that. Doctor visit so I can get on ADHD meds. Then a personal trainer. Story 114. Probably a double pepperoni pizza and a can of Coke. Then, depending on how much money I have won, I will contact my work that I'd like to switch positions to restaurant crew. Would love to just cook a bit with our clients and make nice food for a couple of hours a week. Story 115. A house in the historic Oakwood part of downtown Raleigh, NC. Preferably one overlooking the cemetery. That's been my dream neighborhood since I was a little girl. Story 116. First thing I'm spending it on is paying off my debt. Then I'm going to find someone who knows about finances and hired them to give me the best advice. Probably would be Dave Ramsey LOL. Story 117. Putting aside all the important and responsible stuff because nobody wants to hear that. No shoot, you're going to pay off debt and get a lawyer. Or whatever. I'm buying a car. My car is old enough to vote. She needs repairs and currently can't pass the state inspection. So I'm driving around with expired tags. So yeah, a car. Because it's going to be really hard to do anything else without one. Am I getting some $250K crazy car? No. But I'm also not buying a Camry. I like luxury sports sedans. I've also never had a sports car, so maybe it's time. Story 118. In order: pay off debt, Honda Civic, Powerwall batteries for solar. The rest goes in my retirement fund. With those three done, my bills go down enough to make a difference in available funds to have fun money. Story 119. A decent-sized house and anything else my significant other might want. Then, take care of family, who has helped take care of me all of my life. Story 120. I win the lottery all the time. I just get another ticket. Wait, how much are we talking about? Story 121. First thing? A beer. Second thing? A few hours of time from a financial advisor or someone smarter than me to tell me what to do next. Lowell. Story 122. A big jerk, nasty, all bells and whistles SUV. Like ever ya thang in it. I never want to ever be uncomfortable in a vehicle again. Story 123. A full-body MRI, a full-body CT, and a 2-week functional EEG study. I am a genetic freak and have several mutations. I am fascinated to see how they manifest. Story 124. The services of a financial advisor. After all that, the first thing is a house, outright, in our dream neighborhood. Story 125. A few lawyers. Then, I'll buy a mental hospital and make a huge healthcare company that specializes in mental health and psychological well-being. Story 126. I'm assuming you mean fudge you type money. A house. There, a lawyer and financial advisor. Then an interior decorator for the house and a personal assistant. Private chef, private physician, and then I'd spoil the crap out of my cat. Story 127. I am going to pay all my debts, buy a house and a car, buy many business ventures, continue my job and put all the remaining money in investments like land and agriculture. Get a nonprofit org or a charity, home for the aged, for elderly, and hire nurses. Just this simple life with my mom and my husband. Story 128. A lawyer, a financial advisor, and a new phone number, and only text the people in my phone what the new number is. Always hear about people finding out lotto winners, phone numbers, and calling acting like family and shoot. No thanks. Then a personal chef to cook extremely healthy meals. Story 129. Some originality as this question gets asked in some form or another about 50 times a day. Or two chicks at the same time. Story 130. Cheeseburger. Not going to show up to a lawyer's or financial advisor's office on an empty stomach. Those two ultimately can fudge me over. I'm not about to piss them off just because I was starving. Story 131. Assuming we're talking big money, like in the hundreds of thousands to millions, definitely a lawyer accountant. But as far as things I buy would be a new home for my parents, new homes for my siblings and myself, get everyone a decent new car, split the money up. So everyone in my and my wife's immediate family gets a share to include setting aside money for future generations. Story 132. Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen, everywhere you look in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as well. As long as there is a concept of victors, the vanquished will also exist. The selfish intent of wanting to preserve peace initiates war, and hatred is born in order to protect love. There are nexuses, causal relationships that cannot be separated. I want to sever the fate of the world. A world of only victors. A world of only peace. A world of only love. I will create such a world. I am the ghost of the Uchiha. Story 133. If it's multiple millions, I'm paying off my parents' house, paying all my friends' debts, brand new M3 comp, Custom built house, invest in gold.